Thank you so very much to everyone who has signed our petition, and we are overwhelmed by the amount of support that we have from all over around the world. We continue on a daily basis to work to bring Maxime home to live with us. We miss him very much, and we love him with all our heart.
We are working with a filmmaker, Sarah McCarthy, who's created a documentary about some of the last children who were able to get out of Russia. Here she is to tell you all about her journey with these kids and their new family.
Hello, my name's Sarah McCarthy and I'm a documentary filmmaker, probably best known for my previous film, The Sound of Mumbai, a musical, which told the story of a choir of children from the slums of Mumbai who put on a concert of songs from The Sound of Music. That film premiered at Toronto International Film Festival and went on to screen on broadcasters like HBO in the US and Channel 4 in the UK and many, many others all over the world. I used that film to raise money for the children in the choir to go on to university when they graduate high school, and so began my love of using the films that I make to impact change in the world. My latest film, The Dark Matter of Love, tells the story of an 11-year-old Russian girl, Masha, and two twin 5-year-old boys, Marcel and Vadim, learning to love their adoptive American family through a scientific program. They're three of the last Russian orphans who were able to be adopted into an American family. After some initial and probably inevitable teething problems, Masha and Marcel and Vadim just blossom. They absolutely flourish in their new family. They make friends at school and they become more open and affectionate. And I witnessed firsthand the difference that the love of a family can make to a child's life. I finished the film and set about preparing to release it theatrically, and then something terrible happened.
Russian President Vladimir Putin banned the adoption of Russian children by American families, effective January 1st.
Right now, a family in Virginia is hoping and praying for the arrival of the boy they already refer to as their son. Maxime lives nearly 5,000 miles away in a Russian orphanage. He's been there his whole life, 14 years.
The family is among hundreds nationwide now held hostage by an adoption ban imposed just last month.
Suddenly, my film is a 90-minute demonstration of what these children are being denied. Masha and I have a really extraordinary friendship. We hit it off on the very first day that we met and have had a whole bunch of fun along the way. And the thought that 300 kids, just like Mash, are stuck in that situation right now just tears my heart out. The adoption ban was passed in response to the Magnitsky Act, a law passed by President Obama, which said that any Russian officials involved in the death of Sergei Magnitsky would no longer be allowed to enter the US. Sergei Magnitsky was a human rights lawyer who was unmasking corruption within the Russian state when he was taken into custody, where he died after being held for 11 months. The US Secretary of State, John Kerry, met with President Putin in May and didn't discuss the adoption ban in any kind of meaningful way. President Obama is scheduled to meet with President Putin in June, and the adoption ban isn't currently on his agenda. If Obama allows these children to be held hostage, it will set a horrific precedent and send the message that America is willing to allow the abuse of the human rights of vulnerable children and their families in order to preserve their relationship with Russia. My team and I are doing everything we can to set my film against the use of vulnerable children as political pawns. We screened on Capitol Hill in April and are scheduled to premiere at the Moscow International Film Festival in June. Our primary goal is to use the film to raise the profile of the situation facing these 300 children to a point that puts pressure on the Russian and American governments to find a child-focused solution to what is essentially a political problem. But we need to keep pushing for the sake of these children and their families.
I just felt like one of my own biological sons had just been taken from me, had been ripped out of my arms.
The Wallens were immediately flooded with messages of support from ordinary Russians who tracked them down through social media.
When people from Russia started reaching out to the Vollen's via Facebook, we decided to harness public dissent across our social media platforms to unite Russian and American and international voices so that the US and the Russian governments hear us when we say we have to put politics aside and get these children into loving families. Now it's time to take things a step further and use Kickstarter to raise the funds to show the film to as many policy and decision makers as possible. As a thank you for your support, we have some fantastic rewards, including digital downloads and DVDs of the finished film, The Dark Matter of Love, which is coming out in cinemas in November. You can pledge in any currency at all, and Kickstarter will convert it to pounds. All these children have ever wanted is a mum and a dad, and that dream comes alive when they meet those parents, and that dream dies when they're stuck in a political situation that has nothing to do with them. Please join us in the fight to bring these children home.